everyone. We're back for another episode. Today we're going to go out for some bugs, some lobster. We're going to be going through the kelp forest here and exploring some caves, exploring some little cracks to hopefully grab a couple bugs. Trying to catch limit. Limit is 7. Let's go. All right, let's continue to grab more bugs this lobster season. The surf was about 1.5 feet. Visibility was about 20 plus, give or take. And overall, a beautiful day to be out in the water. Here are my Spear Pro gloves. And I'm trying this OD Pro light that I do use as my main light nowadays. And I'm diving with my dive buddy here, Tony. And we're going to go out and try to grab some bugs. So overall, a great day to be out in the water. But always try to go with a buddy if you can. And today my buddy's Tony. So here, my first drop. Going down, visibility, as you can tell, is amazing. And as I'm exploring here, relatively close to shore, looking around for some cracks to see if there's any antennas floating around. And I see this leopard shark, beautiful, beautiful shark here. And I kind of follow it for a little bit. Just really, really cool to see. This one's probably in the 4 foot or so range, but they can get much, much larger. So every time I take a drop, I'm looking for cracks, little caves, obviously, and I try to make the most of every breath. So what I do is I look for a cluster of caves that I want to hit or a little couple cracks I want to hit instead of just going for one. That lobster was a little too small, but I know there's a couple of little cracks I wanted to check out along this area. So I'm kind of hovering around, taking it really easy with the kicks, trying to conserve my breath, trying to relax. I notice a nice cluster here. And there's one that might be a keeper. It pokes its head out to check me out. I wait. I shoot for the roots, but no good. That one got away. But this one, on the other hand, it's again similar situation. Not the best angle, but I'm shooting for those antenna roots. That's when you can get a good grip. If you grab those antenna, you're going to have chopsticks at the end. So I go for it. I do miss it, but as you can see briefly there, that it's gone all the way back in and it's still popping out. So I grab the antennas and I'm able to pull it up out of there. So here's my first lobster. I'm gonna, of course, once you pull it out, you gotta measure each lobster. To get myself in a better position to measure this lobster right now, my right hand is on top of the carapace, and you do have to measure that carapace, so you gotta clear it. So what I do is with my left hand, grab the bottom, transfer my right hand to the tail, and now I have an open carapace to measure. Each lobster has to be a 3 1/4 inch at a minimum for the carapace, the main body. This one is too short. It's a clicker.
Close.
Clicker.
Close.
You might hear the term clicker being thrown around in the spearfishing community. That means that the carapace is essentially just on the border of being legal. Not sure, but for those, we let them go. These little guys are called kelp perch. You'll find these all across the Pacific coast, from Canada to Baja California. They live amongst the kelp and rocky reefs where it feeds on small crustaceans and plankton, known for its shimmering silver body and faint vertical stripes. These kelp perch are agile swimmers and often hover right above the kelp, as they are now. But we're not here for those. Let's get back to the lobster, like this nice cluster I found in this crack here. The crack was a little too narrow for me to really grab any, and it was too deep, so let this one go, but always really awesome to see. And here my dive buddy Tony goes. And I just wanted to reiterate the importance of buddy diving. There's different methods you can do. You could go 1 up, 1 down. What I typically do with my dive buddies is when we go into deeper waters, we do 1 up, 1 down. But when we go in the shallows, we just stay within a certain vicinity and we check in with each other from time to time. Time to time being probably every 2 to 3 minutes. Pop our heads out, wave at each other, good to go. During this dive, I noticed in general there were a ton of marine life going around, so it's always really awesome to see. But you can see this nice cluster of lobster here. You might be wondering why I'm not going for them right away. And typically when I see lobster, there are bigger ones next to it. I didn't see any this time, but I go for it, miss. But in this particular cave, I see a ton of lobster, or at least ones that seem a little bit easier to target, and they're just chilling out. They seem a little less alert until I get nice and close, and you can see they start spooking. I reach for one, Missed that big one, but I do end up grabbing another with my right hand. And this one, I'm gonna check. Again, 3¼ inches is the length you need on the carapace. I'm readjusting my hands to get a better grip on the tail so that I have a wide open carapace to measure. Get my measuring device here. It's on a little bungee so I can extend it out a little easier. Between the eyes and all the way to the back, this one is my first keeper of the day. Let's go. In the bag, we have 6 more to go. So a small tip I'd like to share, I found this to work really well, but when you're stacking lobster in a bag like this, always put the carapace side down when you load them so you can load more. So you might have noticed that I found a sweet spot, and I did. I started seeing lobster all over the place once we got to a certain spot on our dive. Here's another one. Go up to the surface, do our measurement, and here we go. Another one in the bag, carapace down, load it up. And just like that, we have 5 lobsters, and that's lobster diving sometimes. First half of the session, nothing, and then I finally found an area that produces. Speaking of produces, here's some lobster here. Found this one right in the front, and it's a really tough spot to shoot your hand in and try to grab one of those antennae. So what I do is I shine a light all the way to the back. I try to feel for the end of the cave. So what I do is try to pin it if I know it's shallow and try to grab one of the roots of the antennas, and I do, and I eventually get one out. Unfortunately, pulled out some chopsticks as well because this guy has no more antennas. This one is a keeper, so here we go into the bag, number 6. As I mentioned earlier, one of the techniques you can use when you're buddy diving is when you find a tunnel of lobster, and you know if you try to grab one, they'll spook out the other end. What you could do is use your dive buddy to catch them essentially at the end. So here's a nice cluster of lobster here. Instead of me trying to grab one, which I know sounds crazy, what I do is I tell Tony, my dive buddy, that I'm going to try to spook them all the way to your side. And essentially what I'm doing with my light is just trying to irritate them so they shoot backward into him, and hopefully your dive buddy can grab some. It's a technique you can try with your dive buddy. Try to communicate that beforehand, obviously. And he does come up with 2 lobsters. Double fister.
Nice, double fister.
I get a little jealous, so I have to go down. I see a nice size one, and I grab it and bring it up to the surface.
Lobster party.
There's a big one I saw.
You know the drill. We have to measure the lobster. My right hand is on top of the carapace. I bring my left hand underneath the legs, hold it steady just long enough for me to shift my right hand down to the tail to open up that carapace to measure. Measure. Perfect. It's a keeper. My dive buddy Tony has 2 of them, so he needs a little help here. I've never seen this technique before, where he puts the lobster underneath his armpit. I might have to use that sometime, but we measure it. This one is just short. Let that one go. We're gonna measure the second one here. Remember, between the eyes pop out. This one is also short, unfortunately, and he has to let that one go as well. Here we go, lobster number 7. That is our limit for today. An awesome dive. Here are some stats if you're interested. The deepest at 42 feet, longest hold at 1:18. Here's some other stats if you're interested.
Good dive.
All right, y'all, just wrapped up the dive. Limit today. Dove with Tony, you got 3?
Yeah, I got
3, solid 3. We're out there for a while, but nice size here. Overall, pretty good. Solid day time limit. I'm a little hungry after all that diving, so what we're going to do is create some lobster rolls. So first, what we're going to do is dispatch our lobster and put it into a boiling pot of water. Obviously, if you have a pot, use that, but I'm going to use this half wok thing for now. So once the lobster is cooked, we want to stop the cooking. So we're going to pull it out and then put it in an ice bath. So here it is. Beautiful, beautiful lobster. Getting boiled up. I like to cut off the antennas because it's unnecessary. It kind of sticks out and you're not going to eat that. So I cut those off and put them in. Now they're ready to go out of the boiling jacuzzi, and we're going to throw them into our ice bath to stop the cooking and also cool off the meat before we put it into our lobster roll. And it'll just make sense in a little bit, but we're going to cool it off, stop the cooking in some ice water. Next, we're going to take it apart once it's cooled off. You can put a knife through the tail there and then twist, or you can sometimes twist it straight off like this. Yes, what you can do before you start cooking the lobster is take out that poop trail. What you could do is flip that antenna, cut it off, and put it through where the poop comes out, and you should be able to pull it out straight. What I did here is I didn't do that, so I have to pull it out after the fact. I cut the top with some scissors. You can see that poop trail right on top. Shell is coming off really, really easy. And I'm going to pull out that beautiful tail meat right there. You might notice my thumb is black, and it's because when I was going for one of the lobsters, I actually punched a rock with my left hand. So it's still black to this day, but all worth it for this beautiful meat. So I clear out that poop trail. I'm going to rinse it with some water because there's some leftover residue there. We have a cleaned up lobster tail ready for our lobster roll, that is. Look at that beauty. So we're going to create our sauce. So we're going to need some chopped celery, some lemon, and some organic mayo. And then, of course, we have our rolls to put it on. So you're going to have a dollop of mayo, maybe 2. The wife recommends. Love this recipe, by the way. We're going to squeeze half a lemon. You can add a little bit more later if you'd like. But what my wife likes to say, this really makes it. It's the lemon zest. So you could add as little or as much as you'd like. In this house, we like a ton of lemon zest. A nice little kick. It's very refreshing for us. So add some lemon zest into that mix. Next up, I got a pointer. And add some salt. Add some pepper. As you can see, I'm very helpful in the kitchen. But yeah, my wife loves doing this. I love to cook too, but I trust her with this stuff. So we're gonna mix our mixture together. Now what we're gonna do is actually kind of toss the lobster tail in some butter. The idea here is to coat the lobster, not cook it. So relatively low heat, and it's not going to be on there for long. So just get a nice coating of butter on all the pieces, and then we're going to add it into our bowl and start introducing that sauce we made into the mixture. You want to add a little bit first, mix it all together, and then add more sauce accordingly to the kind of the finish that you like. But we're going to do that here. We're going to add more lobster tail. We're using 2 lobster tails today, and then we're adding some celery for some texture and a little bit of flavor, but mainly texture. Gonna mix that up. And then of course we need to toast our buns. So these buns are just from Trader Joe's. They're hot dog buns. Just use simply some butter. We use Kerrygold often. Get a nice browning on that crust, get a good crisp. Get some texture in addition to a little bit of that butter flavor. As you can tell, plenty of butter is used in this recipe. Next up, we are introducing that beautiful mixture into our buns. Now, add some chopped chives. And lastly, we're going to top it off with some smoked paprika. And there we go. We have our lobster rolls here. Don't they look delicious? Take a closer look. Can't wait to dig in. Very simple, effective. We'll find out if it's effective, but I had a little sample, so I kind of know. But let's get into it. Very nice buttery toasted bread. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. Nice vehicle for the lobster roll. Here we go, let's take our bite. Mmm. So good. That is a big chunk. I would cut it a little bit smaller, maybe. But lobster is really sweet. Sauce mixes in really, you just get that lobster flavor all the way through. I like it just like this. A little bit of paprika at the end kicks it off. And this beautifully toasted roll. Honestly, this is so good. Try it for yourself. Spiny lobster roll. I'm gonna keep eating this. I'll see you on the next one.